High vibes, everybody. I'm back, and I just wanted to make a quick video here about addiction. There's a lot of different forms of addiction, and a lot of different things that you can become addicted to. And I was actually talking with some friends the other day because one of them was talking about alcohol and everything, and that's one of the things I had to overcome in my life. Is I used to be very addicted to alcohol, but really and truly, when you think about addiction, it boils down to three main addictions. A spiritual addiction or energetic addiction, physical addiction, and a mental addiction. So, as people, take all these different substances and whatever they're addicted to, because it's not just, drugs or anything or alcohol or something that you can actually consume. A lot of times, you might be addicted to TV. You might be addicted to that adrenaline rush when go climb a mountain or go skydiving. There's many different forms of addiction, and and not all addictions can be bad. There is that duality there. When you look at certain addictions, you know, they actually help, drive you and fuel you toward, attaining your goals. Like being like basically, like being like on your spiritual path. You're kind of addicted to being spiritual. So when you think about it, is that a bad thing? You want to keep rising up. You want to keep spreading that knowledge and keep raising your own vibration, raising those around you. So is that really a bad thing to really be addicted to wanting to do that all the time? But I want to get onto some other forms of addiction. And when you think about about I use alcohol a lot because this is one of the things that I actually went through. When you think about alcohol, a lot of times it's a more of a mental and an energetic addiction than anything else. It can get to that point to where you're physically addicted to it, to where now your body physically craves it. You have to have it. But most of the time it's a mental and energetic addiction. Like you want to have that feeling of, oh, when I drink alcohol I feel good, all my problems go away. So you want that mind state that the alcohol allows you to have. But you don't have to use those things to get to relieve your problems or get rid of your problems. That's a form of mental addiction because that you haven't fully come to terms with your own mind and yourself. That's things that you have to go within and really figure out. Is this what I want to do? Is this what I'm trying to do? Because it might not align with your actual goals. So, and there's also, an energetic addiction there because, like I said, it makes you feel good. People are like, oh, it gets me hyped, it gets me going. And, they be saying it turns them up, but does it really turn you up or does it turn you down? Up and down. You can flip it around depending on how you view things. My up might be your down might be my up. So when you're thinking about it, it's like, okay, now you're actually using these things in order to get you that certain energy, that certain mindset. And when you really and truly look at it, it's like, well, what can I do in order to get to these states or be able to, achieve your end result? Because, I will always talk about that. You're always thinking about the journey and stuff. The journey is very important. We have to, pay attention as we go along on this journey to everything that's going on throughout the journey, all the little details. But you also always have to keep in mind, what is the end result? What are you trying to achieve? What standards, what goals are you trying to get to? And a lot of times, we use these things as a means to an end. So if we, go within, we might be able to be like, oh, wow, I didn't even need that substance. Marijuana is another substance that a lot of people use, where you be like, hey, I got to get high. I need to get that feeling, that euphoria. Other people use it for different reasons. But at the same time, do you need that substance in order to attain that mental state to be able to get that type of energy? It's all about a certain type of energy. Because everything really is energy. So a lot of times it really does boil down to really and truly one main addiction. And that's that energetic addiction, because you want to feel that energy within you. You want to get that all those ideas that come from that energy. Get that information from that, and then it might not be all good, might not be bad. It might be positive, negative. Depending on how you view things and your level of understanding of whatever you're doing. But we have to, as people on our journey, really think about what are these addictions coming from? Do I need this addiction? Is this addiction helping me, holding me back? You got to keep everything within balance. You might be doing something, you might be doing it too much. That's when you start getting addicted to it. There's things that we could use to help us on our path. There's things that you just might want to do. It's not even things that might help you. It's just something you really want to do. And as you go along your journey, what you want to do might change. But we have to really think about it. It's like, what is this really doing for us? How is it helping us? Why do we do it? When you really start thinking about that, you might change your perspective on it. As I'm always talking about, transforming your knowledge, transforming your perspective, because perspective has to do with a lot of different things. But with as far as addiction goes, we can say that these mental addictions, we want to be in that mind state. We don't want to worry about our problems or anything. That's where meditation, different things come into play. Your actual spiritual practices come into play, because the more you come into balance, the more you will start seeing that these different things that you're addicted to, that you can start tapering off, or you can start getting to a point where you might not even want those different things anymore. I came to a point where one day when I woke up, I was just like, you know what? Alcohol is not for me. I don't need to drink anymore. It was being detrimental to everything I was doing. It wasn't helping anyone around me, let alone myself. It was pulling me down to a point to where, I thought I would never come back up. So I had to go within and really think about, why did I drink? What was I getting out of drinking? A lot of times people use it as an escape, but you can't really escape anything here. It's always going to be there. All you can do is come to terms with it. I made that video on acceptance. So I just wanted to make this quick video to get you guys thinking about, what are you addicted to? What is this addiction doing for you? Is it a positive, a negative? Are you within balance with whatever your addiction is? Because again, I'm saying certain addictions might not be that bad, because we use the word addiction, and people have a certain stigma on it. They have a certain they're already attached a certain energy signature to that word. So you yourself can transform that and transmute it, so that you can make it mean something else for you. You can use it, be like yeah, like hell yeah, I'm addicted to exercising, because that helps me get more balance. It helps me get my physical self more in tune. Yeah, I'm addicted to meditating and different things, depending whatever your particular addiction is. But there are certain things that there really is no problem being addicted to it, as long as you keep it within balance. You can't just overdo it all the time to where now it becomes that true physical need. Because once you get to a point to where it's now a physical addiction, you're out of balance, because everything should be within balance between your spirit, mind, and body. And if you get to a point to where you're more addicted to one side of it, you won't even know where you're going with it, and you'll end up becoming lost, getting confused and distracted, and you really don't want these things to happen on your path. People always go through and they be like, okay, I need to try to do this, I need to try to do that in order to stop this addiction. They like with alcoholics, they do that 12-step program. I'm not really too sure about that, so that's why I didn't really talk about it. But what we need to do is go within, think about these addictions, help get down to the root problem of it. Just like those chakras, that root chakra, you have to start at the bottom before you can work your way up. So once you get down to the root problem, then you might be able to be like, okay, all these other stuff start falling down, knocking these different layers off, like Jenga. We start taking away from the foundation, start moving that around and put it on top. because now you have a new foundation. So now you can add on top of it. But I think that's enough information for this video. But I just want to say my full love and gratitude to everyone out there. Keep rising on your journey and going within and searching. High vibes and full love.